Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here we are. It has been, I don't know how many weeks of SCL it has been, but we have gotten down. We are here at the Diamond Grand Finals. I am your host, Lieutenant Hummus, joined as always by your two casters, Taboshi and Warning Track. How are you both doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Track, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little nervous. I'm trembling with excitement here, and I'm not even playing for crying
No,
out loud.
but you
Oh,
know
it's
So
gonna
what?
be so good.
We're gonna actually do a little bit thing. All right, hopefully this works. So now we figure it's the finals. We're gonna get a little dressed up here. So now you can kind of see what our beautiful faces are. Like I said, I'm Lieutenant Hummus. Right above me, Warning Track and Taboshi. So Diamond Finals. Here we are. The top two players: Canadian Bacon, KrazyCaley. What do you make of it all? I know you've all.
Oh goodness. Well, I barely know where to start. They had very similar records this year. KrazyCaley went 6-1-3. That one is his first loss in the last 2+ years, by the way. CanadianBacon went 6-2-2, which is the best record he's had in SCL ever, Diamond or otherwise. Definitely took a big leap this year, and is now the man to take him on. But it's a large task. It's a large task in any match, and particularly one that has had several weeks off since the end of the regular season, and Kaylee is using that time to prepare.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kaylee is the kind of person who operates the best when he is rested, when he has had some time to sit and get ready for things, and he's mentally in the place he wants to be, and that's easier to do when you've got a little bit of time off. Now, this is going to be a longer match than he's been playing for the rest of the season, so that might play into things a little bit. We shall see how his sniper game holds up, but no matter what happens, man, is this going to be fun.
It's actually kind of funny that you brought it up. Like the two players have such different styles of sniping. Like Kaylee, known as basically the camping, deity. And maybe, taking some time off is kind of a good plan to kind of rest your mind because, when you get there, all you really have to do is, think and execute. But Bacon's is a little more fluid because he knows probably, I would fair to say, more about the inner workings of the AI than any other person, basically outside of Checker. And then even then, probably knows more. So I wonder if he's
Yeah.
been, studying up, developing new tech. He has come up with many techniques that I think have been adopted. Was he the one that discovered the courtyard bump, or was that someone else? I don't actually remember.
It was either him or Drawn, but he might have discovered it and not told anyone for a while
Yeah.
too. He would do that as well. He's a cagey guy, and that's one of the reasons you can't sleep on him. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape,
All right.
if we would. There's a lot to say about this here. First of all, the first fact listed is far and away the most significant. Kaylee is the 3-time defending SCL champion. Now, if you don't know, there have only been 3 seasons so far, so that is technically the most you can win this particular title.
Yes.
So this will be his attempt at a 4th consecutive championship. As I mentioned earlier, 1 loss over the last 2 seasons, and he's never lost to Canadian Bacon. He's won 4 times and tied twice. However, 2 of those wins were overtime wins under previous season's rules, where you tie, I think it was 4-4, and you play a couple more games. So you could look at it that way and say he's never lost to this guy. You could look at it another way and say in 2/3 of their matches, it's either been tied or gone to overtime. So Bacon has shown that he can hang with Kaylee. He just hasn't quite gotten over the bump, but this would be the time. This is his first trip to the Diamond Finals, and it's come because his sniper has bumped down, but he's correspondingly improved his spy. His spy is much better this year. His spy win rate is up near 40%. It's one of the higher spy rates in Diamond. And as you can see there, multiple spy wins in 7 of his 10 matches. I was the victim of one of those. I think he won 4 against me.
Oof.
His spy, this is the best spy he's ever played, I would say. And he's just been doing this the longest. You mentioned AI knowledge, as much knowledge as almost anyone but Checker. Literally over 6 years of experience. I went back and looked. I think he was 4th or 5th among anyone in SCL in the number of days he's been in the beta. And one of those players was someone who took 5 or 6 years off. So we're basically just talking about Varanus and James12221, who are the only people actually like in SCL who've been playing semi-consistently who have actually been in this beta more than Bacon. So he has been there basically the longest of anyone competing at this level right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know he's been I don't know. Like, I remember, like, what I'm excited about is last year, we had some interesting tech with the, was it KCM's overtime trick. So
Oh my
I
god.
can only hope, he's got some little nuggets like that, because those are just the kind of things that come with playing the game for so long. You kind of come up with these, like, little bits. Like Spy Party, it's got all these rules, but there's lots of little manipulations and little ways you can kind of toy with them. And I don't think, like, the overtime trick has basically been in the game forever. Just nobody thought to do it until.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, but let's take a look at how they win in particular, because we know that they win because they're here, right? But how they win is very significant. It's very different. We already knew this about Caley. He wins Sniper this season at an 84% rate. That is really high. I think it's 4th or 5th. Yeah. It's disgusting because it's in Diamond. The only people who finished higher are 2 to 3 divisions lower than him. And that is significantly lower than last season, let me remind you. That was 93% last season. So a lot of us predicted a downtick. I think that was a little too high to be sustainable, certainly. Diamond last year for snipers in general was kind of insane. But even that downtick, we're back down to 84%. He's also won at a 32% spy rate. That's significant. But Bacon, that's the spy thing that I'm talking about there. 38% spy win in Diamond against Diamond snipers. And a 70% sniper win rate is perfectly good. That's good in almost any division. It's just low compared to Caley alone. That's all. And the next thing we have for you is how they win and lose those games. You see here, when Caley wins a spy, 2/3 of the time, it's because he mission completes. He doesn't usually get civilian shot. When he wins a sniper, it's because he shoots the spy. Look at this. Yeah, timeout percentage, 13%. He takes the shot, and he's usually sure about it. But what's really significant about this to me is this one. Out of the 4 bars on this slide, the most significant one is the third one, CanadianBacon. Half of his spy wins almost are civilian shot. That is insane if you don't know. Almost always when you win a spy, it's because you get things done. Bacon knows how to watch the party, frame the right person, and rush missions late if he has to. Still gets a lot of mission wins. But getting that number of civilian shot is really, really significant, especially against someone like Caley who doesn't shoot many civilians, as we will see in the very next infographic. Not that many. Certainly. First of all, spy shot 97%. We don't have room for timeouts in how he loses as spy. He doesn't lose to timeouts. You see that? Caley finishes his missions almost every time. This is the games they lose. 97% of the time when Caley loses as spy, it's because he's shot and not because he times out. He doesn't let that happen. It's about a 50-50 split, more or less, for mission wins and civ shot. But Bacon, when he loses a spy, it's timeout 1/3 of the time. So once again, you see Bacon willing to use timeouts in a way other players are just not willing to. He is willing to time out and lose a spy game to set up future spy wins. And I think that is that's the big challenge for Caley tonight, is to resist that.
Yeah, I mean, even I know, like, in talking with Bacon, he's even said, some players, and I know there's actually a lot of debate about this, like, are you willing to take a timeout to kind of, as a threat, to make that sniper, less sure of shooting? Now, of course, it's the finals, so, you really have to, think that's a good idea. But
lose the battle to win the war. That is what Bacon does, and it's really working. Look at that. 1/3 of his spy games when he loses are to timeout. He's willing to do it. He knows he's going to be willing to do it, and that makes some of your shots a lot tougher.
Do you think that's a bit of kind of inflexibility? Do you think he has like a game plan and he sticks with it, and like if it doesn't work out, it's like, well, I'm going to time out? Or is he, is it more of kind of a deliberate thing, do you think?
I think it's a deliberate thing. I think he realizes that suspicious things happen, and the human mind notices patterns whether they're there or not, especially with all these things going on at this party, especially with new art where you can phantom bugs. And sometimes, we've seen this, when an AI is going to act particularly suspicious and they get shot in the first 2 minutes of the game, you literally didn't have to do anything. You could have walked away from your computer and won that game. So why not give the sniper a lot of opportunities to see those things, but make just enough progress to give yourself a chance to mission complete late? If you can rush effectively late in the game, you can do that. And of course, there is an active element to it. You have to watch the party. You have to make sure that you don't knock out, say, the top suspects with your contact the double agent. That's a big one. You need to be watching. At minimum, you need to make sure you don't make it any easier on them. If anything, you can use it to try to frame them. They enter a conversation, they start talking late, maybe an insta-talk, hit them with the banana bread right then. So in Bacon's case, it's very deliberate, I think, and it's a scary thing to do as spy because you feel very silly when you do nothing all game and lose the game. But if you're willing to do it sometimes, it sets up your mission wins much later very well.
Yeah. So one thing I know about KrazyCaley is, so he's a pretty heavy camping sniper. We know that. We've talked about that already. Do you think I think timing out might actually be kind of a detriment there, because if Kaylee's really looking for those hard tells, the bug, the swap, the purloin, if he doesn't see those, he's probably unlikely to shoot. So that means it's actually even scarier for Bacon, because if he wants a timeout and he wants a shot from KrazyCaley, he wants KrazyCaley to take a shot, he's going to have to get away with a hard tell in order to give Caley a reason to shoot.
Yeah, that's what makes Caley good, is relative confidence that something wouldn't get by you. I've mentioned before that in order to get better at this game of sniper, you have to know how good you already are. You have to accurately assess how likely it is that you missed something. You come to the end of the game and you have to feel whether or not you think they got something by you. And the reason Caley's good is that he's good at catching things, and he knows he's good at catching things and has a pretty good sense of how good he is. So you're right, it's very hard to frame people against him. But there are some differences, which we're going to get into in just a few minutes, in the rules here. They're going to force Caley to play some of the maps he would normally rather not play, force him to take those uncertain shots where he can't just sit on a hard tell or can't reliably catch one.
Do you want to take a look at the rules right now real quick?
Sure.
Let's take a look at the rules. So this match is going to work a little bit differently than kind of the normal Spy Party Competitive League matches. So the normal match is best of 12.
Yeah, first to 7. Yeah,
first to 7, and 6-6 ties are possible. But here in the championship rules, we do things slightly different. Why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, do you want to take us through it, Taboshi?
Sure. The matches, instead of being first to 7 wins, are first to 11, so it's a much longer match to play. 1 ban, as usual. You always get your ban. Then you pick your double mapped, but then everything that didn't get banned out gets played in alphabetical order. And that's everything that didn't get banned out. So there's a lot of maps that get played in
a veritable Spy Party World Tour, as it were.
Yeah. It'll be 8 maps. 8 maps at the end of the ban phase will be played in order if they are necessary. Yeah.
And Caley, being the top seed, gets to choose whether or not he's going to pick or ban first, and whether or not he's going to spy or snipe first. Now, here's where things get a little bit nuts. If the game winds up tied at 10-10, things go completely bloody insane. We play 2 games. And the way these 2 games works is you play known everything on the map you're on, and every mission you complete gets you a point. Not with a 10-second delay. As soon as you complete the mission, you get a point. So if you crash bug and immediately get shot, you still get the point for that bug.
It's when the game is over, whatever the game considers, whatever missions have been completed according to the game.
Yeah, if they're checked off in the corner, the bright green check mark next to them, they're done. So not when the swap is pending, only when it goes through. But the bug, on the other hand, is immediate, and it takes.
And then after those 2 games, whoever has completed the most missions wins, full stop.
And I believe, one clarification, if civilian gets shot, then it counts as full points for a spy, correct?
All the missions go through. Right. So there's a great risk-reward ratio there, right? If you take an early shot, a risky shot for something like a soft tell, you might kill them with 2 missions done, and then that's easy. You're very likely to get 3 done in the next match, except that they know you only have to get 3 done, and then they've taken an aggressive shot, and it self-balances beautifully. On the other hand, if you are wrong, you give them all the missions. All of them. It also leads to some fun little bits of strategy, where if you get to 4 or 5, why not crash bug? You're going to get the mission immediately, even if you get shot after. You're not actually trying to mission complete. You're not trying to win and not get shot. You just want another mission to take. So if you're happy, if you get up to 3 or 4, maybe the moment a purloin goes off, you crash bug at the same time, you get 2 missions, and you walk away with 5 or 6 or something like that, and then they need to do the same. On the other hand, the sniper knows that, so maybe they see someone making a beeline for the ambassador late in the game, and they figure, here's my chance, right? So there's a lot of fun strategy there, and it feels a little like Spy Party, but there's a nice little twist that forces players to think in a strategic way that they haven't had to think about very often.
Yeah,
And on the off chance that you're still tied after missions as points,
we do it again.
Yeah, you do it again. I just can't imagine. It's a good overtime in part because it's really hard to have a bunch of ties in a row. It's very, very difficult for that to happen. Hopefully we don't get to that point just for all of our sakes, really. I don't think I could take
Whatever,
it.
I'm on the West
There are
Coast. I
going
got
to be
plenty
heart
of hours.
attacks.
My evening's clear. I just don't want to spend it that way. That's all.
Ouch. Oh, how harsh. So I know, Trek, you've been keeping track of, speaking of picks and bans, you've been keeping track of each player's picks and bans throughout the season. So let's take a look at those.
Yeah, pretty straightforward here. If you've been watching these matches at all, you probably already know most of this. You know that Caley has banned High Rise 3-5 a lot. The reason he's done that is for the reason you mentioned earlier. He wants to catch those hardtails, and you can finish on High Rise without a hardtail, which means AIs can finish without a hardtail, and they often do. Now, there are two maps like that, at least, one of them being Balcony, but Caley has played a lot of Balcony over the last few years so that he can at least feel comfortable on it. I wouldn't say it's a strength of his, but it's not a significant weakness, so he's willing to leave it open very often, but he'd rather ban something like High Rise. The funny thing is, Bacon's felt the same way for whatever reason, even though he probably is a little stronger on Softail variants, behavioralism, things like that, the kind of things that come into play on a map like High Rise 3-5. He's banned it a lot too. What he's done is he's picked Ballroom because he gets a lot of spy wins off the occlusion, like picked Ballroom a ton. Caley, on the other hand, likes to pick Library because when you have to get 2 extra missions by someone, either 2 hardtails or a hardtail and a fingerprint, it makes his sniping that much stronger. He only lost 2 Library games as Sniper all year. One of them, though, was to Bacon the last time they played.
All this being said, if Caley doesn't ban out High Rise 3-5, I wouldn't be surprised if Bacon takes it as a doubled map, just to give him more opportunity to slip something by Caley from the spy end.
Yes, the number one thing I'm excited to learn here, is what Caley bans and what Bacon picks in response. If he bans High Rise again, I can see Bacon picking Balcony or Moderne, because Caley banned Moderne against him both times. First time was in week 1. Moderne was brand new. He was worried about weird pathing witchcraft that he figured Bacon would be up on almost immediately. The funny thing is he banned it again in week 9, even when it looked like maybe the advantages potentially there were a little overblown. But he banned it both times against Bacon, let him pick Balcony, doubled once, and singled the other time. The other thing to consider is that it's not like before. You're going to play all the unbanned maps potentially. So before, you might not want to play Terrace, but you're pretty sure your opponent's not going to pick it, so you don't need to bother banning it. You ban High Rise, you dare them to pick Terrace, they probably don't. But this case, if you don't ban something like Terrace, you're probably playing it at some point, unless you romp, right, and get it out of the way early, in which case it doesn't matter. So there are a lot of decisions here for Caley about which of those 3 kind of soft tail maps he wants to ban, and then will Bacon come right back at them or not? My anticipation, I'm not really sure about what Caley's going to do. I think Bacon is going to do what he did in week 9 and ban Courtyard, deny Caley the straightforward sniper victories.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance as well that KrazyCaley will make Bacon do his ban first.
I think so. I think he wants to know what he's up to.
There's really no reason not to. Like, I know when I played in the SCL and I always, I won the coin flip and I had the option. It was, absolutely. My opponent is picking first, no question. Like, I don't know. Well, let's talk about that for a second. So, at least for me, my preferences are, if I could pick anything, I would like my opponent to pick maps first. And then if they're picking maps and I have to choose spy sniper order, I always prefer to spy second. I always prefer to snipe first.
Well, that's what most people do, but I'm noticing a bit of a change in some of the matches I've been casting, and I think, if I remember right, Caley likes to spy first. He likes to hit you with a hard, aggressive spy win, and then have you spying to avoid a 2-0 hole. He likes that, putting someone in that psychological position. And particularly, I think there's something to be said for being very aggressive as a spy in the very first game when they're not into the game flow at all. Maybe you're a little more likely to get away with like an immediate bug or an immediate purloin or something like that. The thing is, I don't think he's going to do that tonight as much, unless he can't help himself. Because if he thinks about it strategically, I just think he must realize it's not going to get by Bacon. Bacon's going to know he does that. Bacon's best hope tonight, I think, is winning almost all of his sniper games against Caley, which I think is plausible. I think he has a good bead on how Caley plays spy and has the potential to win most of those, but he's still going to need a few spy wins. I think there's a really decent chance he's going to get it. I think there's a decent chance he could get 2 or 3 or more tonight and only give up 1 or 2.
Yeah, Caley is also known for studying the way his opponent snipes and kind of counterplaying as much as he possibly can. So I assume he's been studying.
Well, so the nice thing for Bacon there is that very often you can watch Bacon snipe, and you're still not going to know what he's doing. He says that a lot.
You guys are going to comment on his sniping, and I'm just going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've got some D20s over here I can roll if you want me to make predictions about why he's highlighting or low lighting. Sometimes people say that about, well, you guessed wrong with Bacon casting, and Bacon just comes out and says like they can't guess because they have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know what I'm thinking or doing because I'm not doing normal things, and I can attest to that. Sometimes he tells you, oh, here's why I did that, and you're like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
Let alone something you could know. So if he has anything like that up his sleeve, we might see it tonight. But I think the thing is, if you're Caley, no matter how much prep you're doing, and I'm a big fan of doing prep, I think it's underrated. I think there's only so much you're going to get against his sniper there. You can see what kind of missions get by him a little bit, but you're not probably going to suss out the low light strategy.
I mean, the thing is, you have to basically replicate an AI perfectly. Like, I've played against Bacon several times, and like he'll just shoot me. And what did you shoot me for? It's like, your turn into that conversation circle is just like a little off. And it's like, oh. Man.
Yeah, that's all it takes sometimes. Yeah, and he'll notice that, And Caley, as we say, is a good spy, but those little details, absolutely. Those are the kind of things Bacon will ding you on. I can see him getting 1 or 2 wins off of tiny little minute things like that from Caley that he could get away against most other snipers.
All right, well, it looks like the players are ready to begin drafting, so let's get to the screen, which I know where that is. Bam, there. Oh, no, I made it so long without saying a bam, but that's okay. So we've got the band and the picks up. The pick is going to be their doubled pick because... like we just talked about, they're going to play through every single map that's not picked, so their pick is going to be the doubled map that they would like to play twice. So I believe you're talking with them, Morning Track, and you'll kind of feed us.
Yeah, they're doing it right now. Caley says he's going to spy first and pick second. And one thing we didn't have a chance to get into before, we mentioned you're going to go through them alphabetically. You go through them alphabetically, and whichever one you double, you just do that when it comes up alphabetically.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bacon has banned Courtyard,
all right,
and Caley has banned High Rise. There it is. That's what we said would probably.
Oh, the Courtyard ban.
I love the Courtyard.
That's what Bacon did in Week 9.
Yeah.
That's what he did in Week 9, and that was the only one of the primary decisions I was confident about. All the others felt like there's a little too much guesswork. High Rise was my best guess, but I wasn't feeling confident about it. But Courtyard, no brainer. I think it worked for him last time. You want Caley out of his comfort zone as much as possible. I think he lost 1 Courtyard game all year.
Yeah, I mean Courtyard's called the DE Dust of Spy Party for a reason, right?
Right. Yep. And so they're talking about it now. And after Caley bans High Rise, you can. There's no response from Bacon yet. He's still thinking about it. This is one of his more significant choices. Balcony's not banned. Terrace isn't banned.
So what do you think about
High Rise?
What do you think about Modern? Because Modern, one of the biggest maps. If you are a sniper that's good at catching pathing things, why not double a map that forces your opponent to move around a lot?
Well, I think there's only a few pathing tricks where it really comes up that much. I think there's a couple like dangerous pillars, and it's more the kind of thing where you're going to get a few free lowlights, but maybe not enough to swing the game. I think the real problem is you see a 63% sniper win rate in Modern throughout SCL Season 4, the highest of any map. You're probably just playing Caley for a split. He's probably not going to beat you a spy, but you're probably not going to beat him either. Meanwhile, Bacon has doubled Ballroom, not Balcony. That was the big choice. Ballroom seemed plausible. Balcony seemed plausible. He doubled Ballroom. His top pick.
Right.
And Caley doubles Veranda. There we go.
That's not super surprising. I was expecting either Veranda or Library.
They're starting.
All right. Are they in the lobby? I don't actually see them.
They are. They're in the third room, the special Diamond Championship room.
Of course,
there we go. Yeah.
Hold on. Tell them to wait up. All right, there we go.
You ready?
Want to make sure we're all on autoplay?
Yes, sir.
Are we on autoplay?
All right.
Let me actually double check and make sure I'm on autoplay. I'll leave the rules up while I do that. Autoplay next game. There we go. All right.
Oh, this is going to be so good.
And casting mode as well. Yep. We've got everything all set up.
Everything's all set. We are ready to go. KrazyCaley versus CanadianBacon. The Diamond Finals. Here we go.
And we're in.
We are in. The game is officially underway, starting things off on Balcony, and KrazyCaley doesn't wind up in the best spot.
No, he doesn't. And by the way, we predicted it again here too. Caley spying first. This is what he likes to do. It's not incredibly rare, but it's a little atypical. He's one of the few top players who does it most of the time.
just started talking with no flirt.
I think he was worried about a no-talk there. Maybe just not doing anything for a while. Resists the bug, though. That's significant. He loves to go for bugs.
This is true. But I think in a situation like this, he knows with this positioning it's just not going to happen. There's the contact coming.
Banana bread.
Importantly, not able to hit the green test on that. 2 talkers.
Yeah, it's Caley and Cowboy.
Both started talking at pretty much the exact same moment.
But he's still in decent shape here because Bacon will usually shoot on balcony. What he'll normally do is he'll just shoot whoever is basically talking in the last 30 seconds if he doesn't like them through most of the game.
It is hard not to shoot on balcony.
It is, and I actually think there's a decent chance Caley is not planning on flirting at all here. I think he's counting on Bacon to shoot, and if he is, he's done his homework because that is a reasonable guess. But that pathing, that might ruin his plans. Look at that highlight.
Oh no.
It's
Crazy
subtle, but it's enough. Caley is clearly deciding not to finish.
He's briefcasing.
That looks so close to the distance allowed. I don't know about that.
That path back in the conversation was a little bit wide, but
I don't think Bacon's going to shoot.
I
think
don't
he's
think
going
he's
to
going to
hold.
shoot. I think he's going to call. He's calling Caley's bluff.
Wow. And there's the bug.
The bug.
There it is.
Oh man, Toby at the last second gives him the exact amount of cover he needs, but Bacon is still on top of things. Game number 1.
What I love about this is that I actually think that was a great game plan from Caley. I think he's been studying his opponent, but Bacon held his shot. That was a very un-Bacon, that was an un-Caley-like spy game and an un-Bacon-like balcony game on Sniper.
Yeah, I agree, and it works out for Bacon this time around.
Yeah, I think those were just 2 counterplays bouncing off each other.
Seduction target not being kind to open up the game, but the spot that's available is right next to Bacon. Oh, come on! Why you do this, seduction target?
For the drama. Seduction targets, they really have a good sense of the moment and the drama of the game, it seems.
Now it seems like the question is, can Caley hold a shot?
It's going to be harder to do. His basic philosophy on maps like this is, I'll shoot someone who could be done. He shot me in our Week 10 match, crediting 3 greens, apparently, just because I could have technically been done. If he thinks you could finish, and he thinks you can hit the ATs, he'll just shoot. He takes the judgment out of it. He tries to reduce it to a formula whenever he can.
No contact yet, under a minute. Waiting for everybody to come into conversation.
And he doesn't like that talk timing, apparently. That's very interesting. Bacon's barely done anything here.
This is very true. 40 seconds. Definitely not finishing missions here.
Yeah, Caley not known for catching little etiquette issues, but I think he might have nabbed Bacon for one there. Not sure.
Starting to come down to it now. It's hard to think Caley's not going to take a shot here. The problem is, where is that bullet going? It's probably... Here comes the contact! It's a white test! End of the game!
If Salmon talks right here, nope. That's it. He's going to hold a shot. He's going to hold a shot.
I don't think Caley's going to shoot anybody.
32% timeout rate, I said, I think?
Something like that, but...
Case in point. There it is. Wow.
Man, oh man, patient sniper play to start the game off. It's so hard not to take a shot on a map like Balcony, but both of these players able to hold on long enough to...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising, to say the least.
Apparently we've got some bad lag on the microphones. Hopefully we can find a way to fix that.
Now, it's funny. You notice, by the way, Caley did not technically time out in that last game. That's what he does. He'll rush the mission. But for all intents and purposes, if you're strategizing against him, it's like a timeout.
This is very true. KrazyCaley starting things off on Bacon's doubled map of Ballroom on the spy side with a 34% flirt.
And remember, we're going to do 4 of these now instead. This is where Bacon wants to take the lead. This is his map choice. This is where it's hard for Caley to see everything.
Absolutely. Early briefcase to pick up the fingerprint on the top of the game.
I admire the gumption of trying to do briefcase in front of someone like Bacon. You have to nail it most of the time.
Although it's pretty easy when it's just a pick up and put back down.
Yeah, there was a bit of a reach there. I thought that was interesting. I wonder if that'll catch Bacon's attention.
In conversation with the double agent here, contact does come off. Lets off 3, I think, low lights.
Yeah, not many.
Too bad.
No, that's pretty standard. It was a green, though, and can Caley resist this bug? He loves the bugs. He does.
He does, but I don't think he takes very many standing bugs unless he has to. They're usually slick little walking things or reverse drive-by bugs.
Yeah. One of the exceptions, though, when the ambassador comes to you like that, there can be a very brief window where the sniper doesn't quite adjust in time and isn't particularly suspicious because you're not making a beeline for them.
Fingerprintable statue will finish up that one mission, so we've got 2 completions, a flirt, and 2 inspects on the board.
I'm a little worried for Bacon here. I'm not confident that he's tracking the fingerprint well enough to know that Caley is done right now.
Second flirt, this one green, brings us up to 85%. Lots of room to work for the end of the game here.
Yeah, tons of options, and it's really going to come down to whether or not Bacon was on that second print or not.
Center statue second. What spy would do this, says Caley as he picks up the statue to finish the inspects. 1 more mission to be completed, no highlight yet, and just needs that last flirt.
It's a very bad sign that he hasn't been shot yet. It's hard to imagine Bacon's really going to shoot for an innocent talk or something like that after this, but we'll find out.
Steps into painting.
Normally you would credit flirt by now if you wanted to shoot.
This is true.
I don't think he saw that second fingerprint.
Enters conversation at a distance. There's the talk relatively early on. Still almost a minute left to play. No reaction from CanadianBacon, and KrazyCaley finds his first spy win nice and early.
Yeah, I don't know which of those fingerprints it was. I guess the briefcase was pretty quick. Bacon may have been distracted, but my guess is it was the statue print. I think he just missed the statue print.
Remember, this is Bacon's doubled map as well, and this is what Caley wanted, making Bacon need to find a spy win to keep things tied up.
Yeah, not a good position to be in at all. Not what you wanted if you're Bacon. Now you kind of need these spy wins.
Gets a first flirt at a window, though, so that's very nice. No obligation to hang around. A green test for 51%. That's a strong start.
It is. And it's a little early to be writing narratives exactly, but so far, the story for me is that Caley is not playing the Caley spy games. The ones that Bacon has shown he is aware of and can counter. That kind of aggressive, you hate to say YOLO exactly, but a little bit YOLO spy play. He's being very restrained right now. He's doing things like fingerprints. He's not playing the kind of spy game he normally plays. Uh-oh.
Bad miss of a pad from Bacon. Played it off like it might have been briefcase weirdness.
It's really not evident how much Caley saw it, but I think, unfortunately for Bacon, I think there's a really good chance he did.
White test on the second flirt brings us up to 85%, so no 2 flirt coming through. And not a huge amount of progress from Bacon either. We've got the 2 flirts, but nothing else with 2 minutes and 15 on the clock.
This is actually really similar to the ballroom games he played against Caley in Week 9, too, which he drew. There were a couple games where he seemed to mostly get away with some significant missions, even hardtails that didn't trigger shots late in the game, but didn't quite finish. He just waited a little too long on some of them. And it might be the case here, but with 2 minutes left still, he's still on cue to finish if he wants. I think he's going to wait. I think he's waiting a little less than he did last time. I think he learned the lesson last time where he rushed too many missions late, and if he'd started 30 seconds earlier, he might have won some of those.
Just straight up white swaps the center statue!
Wow, that's aggressive. Rocker was there before.
Bacon! Caley didn't even think twice about it. He saw the swap and took the shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not he saw the fade or not. The real question would have been, if he wasn't potentially already a big suspect for that missed pad, which may or may not have been the case, would he have to think about it? Bacon, by the way, really willing to do that. Willing to say, I'm going to fake a green swap, look like a green swapper, and I don't mind being, the the number 2 suspect. I just don't want to be the number 1 suspect. I want you to get it down to 50-50, because 50-50, that's a bad rate for a sniper like Caley.
That is a bug Caley takes 9 times out of 10.
Yes.
The fact that he did not right-click there is a very good indicator that he is tempering his spy play against CanadianBacon.
I think it's probably killing him inside, he just from muscle memory alone. But yes, he is resisting a lot of bugs. He's going for Softail variants like fingerprints when he can. He's slowing it down. He's trying to play pacing games. He actually did one of these against Bacon last time they played too. He played a very un-Caley-like game, and I believe he walked away with a mission win. That was on Library as Taft. The only Caley-like thing was the swap at the end. But other than that, I think he's seen, if he studied that match at all, he's seen that I can get these spy wins by him if I can just curb these aggressive impulses.
And KrazyCaley on the spy side here, picking up a green book to start the game. So he has that in hand while he picks up his first flirt on a white test for 34%.
And if you're Bacon, you really need to win this game right now.
Yeah, absolutely, but Bacon feels like he's playing a little bit of match play here. He timed out on the first map. He did a really bold fake green swap on the second spy game, trying to really make sure Caley stays on his toes as Caley picks up a time ad, actually.
A white time ad, and Bacon was starting to rotate to that side. I think there's a decent chance he's on this. And, oh, that quick leave from conversation to conversation. If Bacon is watching him at all, he should be very suspicious.
No highlight yet, but that can be very misleading, especially with Bacon.
Yes.
White flirt again for the second one only brings us up to 68. Still in green flirt range, but gonna have to get snuggly.
And he's been holding on to that green book for a while, long enough that it seems pretty likely he's going to try to dump it into blue late in the game.
This is very true. Stepping into conversation with the double agent here, might try to use this as cover to get away with the transfer. If this was the usual spy play from Caley, I'd say he might try to use the contact as cover for a bug here, but either way, double agent leaves before we're able to get anything out of it. Reading bookcase at painting with the seduction target, but the ST doesn't hang around to get flirted with. 1 minute and 35 to play and no completions yet. Steps into conversation on the opposite end of the conversation with the seduction target. Needs a green test. Oh, he hit the green test, but he was still too far out. It's 99%. And what is Caley going to do to finish missions here? He has to start with this microfilm.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, getting away with his hardtail might not even be enough now. He has to do a lot more than this.
But he did definitely get away with this hardtail.
We'll see.
Look, his back.
We'll see.
No shot yet. I'm pretty sure Bacon. Oh, no, well, maybe it's not as clean as we thought it was because there's a big highlight.
Yeah. One thing to remember about...
We're under a minute.
Bacon has a great sense of timing. A lot of people will shoot after 4 or 5 seconds if they think you're done. Bacon will routinely shoot at 7 or 8, give himself every second to reconsider, and still shoot with 1 second left in the countdown very reliably. He's shockingly good at it. So you don't normally know right away whether or not he's actually seen something. He will wait those few extra seconds.
Green purloin. This is the do or die moment here.
I think Bacon's on it, but the problem is not seeing the fade with a highlight taking it. That's the only risk here, I think.
I agree. Still needs one more mission after the fact. There's the take at 20 seconds. No reaction from Bacon yet.
I think he can see it. Here it comes.
Banana bread.
There's the contact to finish it up, and Bacon is not going to give Caley the light of day. Gets the shot off and gives himself a chance to tie things back up from the spy side.
Yeah, that was interesting. You felt Caley kind of playing that counter game there for a while, and then 2/3 of the way it was sort of like a return of the old Caley, just a little bit. Like, well, let's do 2 hardtails instead.
Yeah.
But to give him credit, no, that still was not a typical Caley game. It just didn't quite work out. I think maybe if he hits that flirt, he can rush this a little more at the end, not have to purloin, go to center statues instead, but it didn't happen. 1%, 1 pixel, maybe the difference in that game.
Yeah, could very easily have been. If KrazyCaley hit that flirt, he wins that game. That was more than 10 seconds. CanadianBacon on the spy side, though, has a chance to tie up the set. And even if he does, he will not have capitalized successfully on his doubled map. He will have just split it. KrazyCaley still in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, it'll be a significant opportunity cost, but the fact that you have to play so many unusual maps here, if he can get away with a tie here, I think he's still in decent shape.
Early contact for Bacon. Lets off 3, 4. Wow. Caley went all in on a reel there.
Yeah, he did. Sometimes you see these flurry of lowlights and you think, my God, what did he catch? Well, sometimes he's making assumptions. In this case, Caley, again, playing a little un-Caley-like. Normally he takes all the hard lowlights he can get. He has been fuzzying that around the margins a little bit this year, though, occasionally taking high percentage lowlights that aren't actually hard lowlights, just a little bit here and there. It's hurt him a couple times, but he usually gets away with it. In this case, he's assumed correctly, and that's going to make it very hard for Bacon to finish unless Caley has reason to reconsider that decision later in the game.
Man, if Caley starts getting away with this stuff on the regular, he just becomes even more terrifying on the sniper side, which is something nobody ever wanted to see. Bacon still just has that one completion and no other progress with under 2 minutes, but now stepping into the blue bookcase.
I think it's terrifying in the short term, but it's something that people will obviously have a chance to adjust to and kind of fish for those lowlights. The question is, if he does it now, if he breaks it out now, is Bacon going to be able to take advantage just by looking at the replays and try to do things to get lowlights?
Animation transfer. KrazyCaley is on it. Got the fingerprint while he was there, but not able to get the animation by him, and KrazyCaley retains his lead after Ballroom.
And nothing fancy there, certainly just catches it. Might have caught it anyway, but the main reason he caught that probably easily is that he just didn't have that many people to watch. When you get the party in Ballroom down to 5 or 6, it's really hard for the Spy to get away with anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even if the Ambassador was in a weird spot, even if Toby was offering a drink at that moment, which usually is good enough to distract Caley from something like that, man, it is not easy when you're one of the only possible spies on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
KrazyCaley opening gallery here at statues. And just a reminder, because I'm seeing the question come up in chat, we have, I think it was High Rise Band and Courtyard Band.
Yes.
All the other maps we are playing in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is Caley. This is what happens. He takes an attempted reverse drive-by bug and just gets caught out on it. KrazyCaley, he's back to form, but
yeah,
Bacon is on it, and this is just how things are going to be for a while. KrazyCaley on the sniper side with the advantage. Bacon spying to tie it up.
Yeah, the kidnapped Caley has been returned to us safe and sound. Don't worry, it's definitely him. Yeah, and look, honestly, let's not even make light exactly. Those drive-by bugs on gallery are deadly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if Caley is being genuinely cautious, there's a perfectly good argument for trying that pretty much any time you get the opportunity.
Would have been better if it was the other arm, but sometimes you don't have that choice to make. CanadianBacon looks like he's gunning for this early contact.
And boy, they are rolling through these games. We're already in the 8th game. Some of them have been very quick because we've already played Balcony, and because we've had a couple things like that happen early on.
Bacon decided he couldn't find a way into that conversation and had to back it on up, which is probably wise because the suspected double agent was not in conversation. The seduction target steps away before we're able to get the first flirt off. This is a lot of time wasted with no progress yet.
But it's gallery. It's like Ballroom. Even though CanadianBacon didn't pick it, he picked Ballroom instead. Some of the things that make him want to play Ballroom against someone like Caley still apply here. There's a lot of occlusion. It's hard to tell what's going on. And boy, look at Caley staring down Smallman near the Ambassador. He is so worried about him.
Contact! Banana split! There's the low light, but gets knocked right back up.
Yeah, this time not quite as willing to make the risky assumptions. I think the split's actually a good move. This is something you can occasionally get Caley for. And on gallery, it's so hard with all that movement to be confident about who was out. Here's the thing. He didn't keep the lowlight on Bacon, but he actually didn't get that many lowlights either because he was much more cautious this time.
Very clear highlight when Canadian Bacon steps into statues there, not trying to hide it in the slightest.
Yeah, no reason to. You know what's going to happen. You know he's going to track the statue in specs on gallery.
But look at this, no completions, 1 minute and 30 to play as he steps into the green bookcase behind the conversation here. The hair is still glowing and sticking up from behind the conversation. Here's the transfer. Little head turn. It's so hard to see, though.
Zoomed out. I zoomed out, and I think maybe give an assist to Smallman. Just the fact that Smallman's out front like that, it makes the sniper want to zoom out just in case he does something, in case he runs over to time ad and then runs back into the conversation. That's the real decision for the sniper at any given moment. It's not just what you look at, because left to right there isn't much movement. It's do you stay zoomed in or not?
That was Bacon's first bookcase visit, though. You can bet Caley
Swap!
is paying more attention on the second one, the green swap! A very bold play coming out from Canadian Bacon, but it's hard to imagine Caley isn't on this.
I think so. There just wasn't enough activity there. But once again, he zoomed out just before when Walt was approaching the conversation. Every time a suspect of Caley's is potentially doing something out front, he's zooming out to keep them on screen and potentially missing something behind.
Two things to watch at once. It's both the statue and the bookcase, but Caley makes the catch where it counts and stays ahead from the sniper side.
The swap hadn't even gone off. I think the problem here is that when Bacon chose to do these missions, there really was nothing to distract Caley. There was basically nobody at statues. There wasn't a lot of movement. The ambassador was not vulnerable. And the microfilm, too. He didn't have much cover in the microfilm. The green one, a little bit. But even that only worked because he was zoomed out because of small men. The second time, he had reason to be zoomed in, and you're not going to get a white microfilm in the back of gallery if Caley is zoomed in.
My assumption is that he was expecting an earlier pickup on the statue to go for a swap and was trying to use that as cover for the microfilm, which can definitely work against someone like Caley, but this time just didn't pan out.
It just wasn't timed well enough. I like the decisions, but I think the timing on several of those decisions just didn't quite line up.
And now we step into the library with KrazyCaley once again turning down an early bug opportunity.
With 3 people crammed together on a pad, yeah, this is definitely not how he normally plays. If you've never seen KrazyCaley play before, you still haven't, in a way. This is not what you'd normally see from him.
But it's working, though.
It's mostly working. Well, it only takes 1, right? So he's still losing most of these games, but he won 1 so far. It's more that the sniper game is on point. Bacon has not tested him yet.
This has been KrazyCaley's go-to since the beginning of time. You just win out on the sniper games, then you only need to find 1 from the spy end, and he found it early. Now it's on Canadian Bacon to answer back as Caley picks up his first flirt for 51%.
It's his go-to map, too. This is the one he likes. He's confident that it's going to be very hard for people to get that many missions by him. 1 hard tell every game, maybe 2 potentially, unless they want to paste fingerprint, and that's tough. And the one thing that's usually the equalizer on Library for Spies is the feasibility of time ads. Caley, particularly good at catching time ads. He's taken that to a new level this year. So I think that's one of the reasons he likes Library. The thing that tries to even it up for the spy, the time ads, is something he's particularly good at nabbing spies for.
Caley is particularly good at nabbing spies for everything.
That's true. That's true.
If it's a tell, if it's a hard tell, I mean, Caley will ding you for it every time.
Yeah. We've definitely seen an uptick, though, this year in the time ads. We've seen those flurry of lowlights come off sometimes after green time ads. That is kind of new. That is a new tool in the toolbox this season, I think.
This is very true. Green time ad there. Let's test how Bacon deals with things.
Yeah, less likely to care, frankly, Bacon. He's more likely to... He kind of has my philosophy on time ads, which is, yeah, they're not great, but it's not a mission. And the number one thing you have to watch out for time ads is the way they psych you out and put you on the scent of the wrong party goer. If you don't overreact to them, it doesn't necessarily matter that much.
This is very true, and Caley kind of needed it because he knew he wasn't getting a whole lot done early, just letting Bacon accrue suspects as he hangs out behind pillars, being as inconspicuous as possible.
Except that being behind a pillar is becoming kind of conspicuous because it's so inconspicuous. That's what makes this game great.
Especially now with the purloin on the white test just gets taken straight up.
Is he going to gulp or not? That's the big choice.
He definitely does. I don't think Bacon is on it.
We'll see. It's early enough that he doesn't have to shoot. It looked very visible there. I thought he was waiting for the gulp, but he hasn't reacted yet. This is not a good sign. In fact, he's not even on his screen. He looked at the right side of the screen for quite a while there. I'm a little worried he missed it completely.
Caley once again behind a pillar, but yeah, I honestly think Caley just slipped one by Bacon.
We'll see. Bacon, though, again, patient. He probably senses, even if he's on Caley, he knows he's not done. But I mentioned earlier, you need to not overreact to a time ad. A time ad and a purloin, on the other hand, much harder to hold that shot on Library.
Absolutely. And Caley, the time is starting to become an issue. 1:20 left to play, just got his second flirt. A white test up to 85%. Would have loved that green test, but it wasn't to be.
I don't right now. I don't think Caley wants to finish. I think he's thinking time ad purloin. I think Bacon's gonna have to shoot. Oh, leaves early on the idle. Did Bacon see it though?
Bacon, I don't think it was even on camera.
Boy, that's rough.
You can't watch everything on this map. Quite literally, a third of the map is always going to be invisible to you at any given moment.
Yeah, I think the very end of it was on camera, which isn't enough. But he is actually flying in and out of these conversations. He's really daring Bacon to catch him for one of these things.
Another green time ad.
And a quick leave. This is clearly the plan here. He's giving himself a couple options to finish, but he does not want to finish this game.
This is very oh, goes for the bug attempt too late. I don't think Bacon saw it though, or else we would have seen a shot by now.
But this book.
Double take from Bacon there.
Remember, he gave that highlight to Irish for the book, didn't shoot for it right away, but he was very suspicious of the microfilm, the book transfer.
Oh! Second target gives us a gift late in the game. That's 3 completions. Still only 50 seconds to play, but...
Well, Caley doesn't have the right character for it, but you know what he would normally do here.
Absolutely, he would do the inspect swap, but he's got a double agent right here and very willing right next to the statues. Might not need the swap as well if he just picks up the contact.
That's going to knock out some significant highlights. And you
It
got to
is
imagine.
indeed, but Bacon knows he has to take the shot, can't find the right one.
Wow.
If he had held that shot a moment longer, Caley goes to center statue and dies.
Yes,
but
I agree. I
I
think that was
it from the time ads.
I think that was a 1 second difference between win and loss right there. I think if he holds it, you're right. Caley's going to try to finish there. He obviously tried to go the other way, and Bacon was not having any of it. And he gave himself that option to finish late, and I think he was just about to make that choice to go to center statues. And I think you're right. I think at that point, Bacon shoots him.
KrazyCaley picks up a second. There's still a lot of match left to be played. But Bacon is in a little bit of a hole here.
This is the one spy win he had against Caley last time, though. It was Library. He was Irish. He won with a late fingerprint. Caley thought it was on one statue. It was on the adjacent one. That was the difference. He also got away with a bug that game, if I recall correctly. So the last time he beat him as spy was on this very map.
Starts things out strong with 51% on the flirt, leaving the 2 flirt on the table. Has a bug lineup if Caley swings away for any appreciable period of time, but Caley's not going to do that, and Bacon knows it, just stepping out to books.
Honestly, though, it's really hard to imagine you're going to beat Caley on Library without getting a bug by him.
This is true. But it's going to need to be a better lineup than that, I think. Needs to have a little bit of cover.
Now, Bacon and Caley played a kind of scrimmage game leading up to Steam Early Access. I remember I was watching at the time. Bacon lost some spy games, but early in those games, he built up a big lead getting away with microfilm animation transfers. He did that a few times and then lost on something else later in the game. But I remember thinking, wow, if you can hit those greens at least occasionally and time them well, you can get microfilm by Caley on this venue.
Bacon picks up the first fingerprint from a briefcase, so that's definitely something that Caley is going to notice and remember.
It is, but there's going to be a lot of fingerprints to track this game.
Fake contact once more. Bacon knows that Caley went all in on a real one game already, but Caley's getting enough lowlights from that he doesn't have to make any rash decisions. Is CanadianBacon really holding on to this book for a long time, and unfortunately, Seduction Target is not having any of it this time.
You make a good point. Caley gets enough lowlights, he doesn't have to do anything aggressive. That might be the calculation. It might be less that I think my opponent's going to do real, and more that if they do a really good banana bread, then at that point, I need to get something out of it, and I'd rather take the chance on the low light and make sure I get that something.
Well, here comes the book. Caley hasn't shot yet, so I think it's clean.
But he's staring at it. Yeah, he's suspicious. He's not sure where that book came from. He's not going to shoot, but he's staring.
Yeah, this is very true, especially the highlight is a huge indicator. And the time is running short, 1:20 to play, a fair bit of progress, but still a lot yet to be garnered.
I'll be a little surprised if Bacon can mission win this game. Probably surprised if he wins at all, but I really don't think he can mission win after that highlight. I think he's maybe, let's say, 70% sure about the microfilm.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Side statue. Picks up a pair of inspects. More progress, no completions. Needs a flirt very quickly, just in case he doesn't hit this green.
Oh, look at that click. Very interesting. Back down to neutral. Might not mean much. Oh, no.
Doesn't hit the green, but the red contact!
And here's the thing. He did not see it. That's actually pretty normal. But he was confident 4 or 5 people on screen had not done it, and he got some significant lowlights out of that.
Significant lowlights indeed. CanadianBacon has the contact done, has the microfilm done. Yet goes back into statues and doesn't survive the trip. KrazyCaley playing like a monster on the sniper side.
Well, Bacon is giving him a little too much, too, certainly. I don't think he's testing him the way he did in their previous matches. That obviously, we've seen some missed pads. The red BB is really unfortunate. Didn't get caught for it, but honestly, normally the best thing you can do with a red banana bread is just say anyone who I was basically looking at, if I didn't see them cough, just take those lowlights. Those are really valuable on library. And they are restarting their match, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like Kaylee disconnected, so we're going to restart in just a second.
All right.
We'll be right back. Yeah, well, we could use the breather, frankly.
Ooh, yes.
It's been at a breakneck pace so far.
Yes.
Yeah, Kaylee is actually up pretty big right now, 7-3, but this is a long match. He still needs 4 more. Bacon saying in lobby, by the way, this definitely means he forfeits, right? Yeah, I'm sure that's how it works. Yeah, you, yeah. At least you go back to tie.
Right,
right?
yeah. You award a couple wins.
Seems only fair. But Bacon, his back is against the wall now. Now, those spy wins that he needed to win, he needs just to stay alive.
Indeed.
All right, looks like...
And
oh, looks like KrazyCaley, when he went to go to the next match, accidentally clicked the X to close the match, to close the game. So yeah, that'll do it. But all right,
look, if I were in that position, I wouldn't want to play anymore
I
either.
can't blame him. All right, but it looks like we're back in it now. Ooh.
Wait, what a dramatic turn of events. Kaylee surrenders, up 4 games in the finals.
It's a real power move.
Yeah.
Either way, stepping into modern or modern, depending on what you make of that E. KrazyCaley on the spy side, up 7-3. I think this might be the biggest lead we've had in a Diamond Finals this early on.
It's pretty high, yeah. And the funny thing is, it's actually one of the bigger leads Kaylee has had in any of his matches. Even though he did go 6-1-3 this year, pretty much all of them were kind of close. One of the only ones that wasn't, he beat Bacon in week 1, 7-3, but almost all his other matches were 7-4, 7-5s, which are, as we know, these are marginal games. A 7-5 is obviously a coin flip at best. 7-4 is actually not that much worse, especially because sometimes you don't play the last game. That happened to me a couple times, for example. So Kaylee has played close games all season. This might be shaping up to be one of the more lopsided ones he's played all year, unless, of course, Bacon has a comeback in him.
This is incredibly impressive for Kaylee so far versus someone like CanadianBacon. Oh, that bug was very pretty. The transfer microfilm came off, but the bug wasn't pretty enough. CanadianBacon just waiting until there was no possibility of a missed shot, getting the angle where no one was behind Kaylee and cutting him down, but needs to find some spy wins.
No bug that works is ever ugly, and no bug that gets a shot is ever pretty. That was bugly by the mere fact that he got shot for it.
CanadianBacon on the spy side now. This is where the comeback has to begin. on the spy side against KrazyCaley's sniper, which is never a position you want to be in.
Yeah, it's not good, and not on Modern, as I mentioned before, either. Again, just such a high sniper win rate on this, particularly in Diamond, particularly from Caley. That's how it goes. The only game I could think of offhand that went the other way was that very dramatic one against KCM, which we saw, but that's pretty hard to replicate.
CanadianBacon opening things off at the bar and spending a lot of time waiting for Toby to get around to him.
I mentioned that Modern saw a 63% sniper win rate in all of SCL, and that was the highest for any map, but in Diamond it was 81%.
Picks up a delegate and steps away with no drink into the statues, which he picks up a highlight for. I guarantee that's no suspicion off of the leave from the bar. That's just for the statue visit.
Completely agree, and it'll be interesting to see if he actually tries to do it. Also worth noting that when Caley has lost strange games on maps like this, it's usually from statue-less games, things that deny him those rote highlights, because he doesn't want to take that shot. If he thinks you haven't been to statues and he's trying to count missions, it's going to be much harder to credit you with, say, a microfilm and a bug, or whatever it is you're trying to do.
Indeed.
Bacon is not going that route.
Yeah, playing a very slow start here. Delegates and steps around the conversation so he's not seen talking.
I kind of like the move, but unfortunately, based on camera movement, it kind of feels like Caley saw the whole thing.
Well, we'll find out momentarily. The delegate expires actually just in time. Doesn't quite come off.
It was so close that literally delegating to that character rather than most of the other characters at the party, that character particularly slow, was probably the difference. It was an interesting move, but nothing comes of it.
Green test on the flirt for 50%. The best you can get on a green test is 51. So a very slight distance here, but still very much in range for the 2 flirt if he can hit another green test.
Yeah, and that helps, but he's just running so low on time, and it's actually not a very easy map to get away with the time add-on. But look at this. Yeah. This is very interesting. Caley, very few lowlights.
Contact comes off. 3, 4, 5 lowlights, one of which was highlight.
He's thinking, he's hesitating on some of these, so this is interesting. Some of those lowlights that Caley didn't take, I've absolutely seen him take iffier lowlights than that on other Modern games, or library games for that matter. I think he's being just a little more careful. He's shaving the edges off of some of those lowlights. It's not as impressive as when he reels off 7 or 8, but not all those are hard lowlights, not all those are things he can be certain about. In this case, you can see he's thinking, this is Modern, so many missions have to get done. I don't need to take every possible lowlight. I don't need to take the iffy, sub-certain lowlights.
CanadianBacon hits the 2 flirt, though. And even though there's only 40 seconds left, there is some play left in this game.
A little bit, but I think the fact that he hasn't time add is going to make it almost impossible.
Green swap needs one more mission before this comes off.
I think it's going to be a direct purloin while the swap is happening.
I think you're right.
Look at all that traffic at bar. It's going to be so hard to see the list unless he's staring at it.
He has to demand.
But Caley will catch that. Caley will catch that.
10 seconds.
Yeah, he's waiting to demand, so it's not quite close. He didn't want to do it right away.
Has been taken. The swap has come off.
I think he just saw it. Yep, he just saw it. He's lowlighting.
The bug as the ambassador steps up to him. It's a gift. And KrazyCaley can't figure it out.
Huge! Oh my goodness, he's given up so few mission wins all year now. 2 of them are to Modern, and both of them on last-second bar moves, although this one, the bug instead of the purloin. It looked like it was going to be a purloin, but an opportunistic bug gets Bacon back in this match.
If that went to the purloin, Caley wins that game. But the ambassador decides to be kind, sidles up right behind him, and there is no way Bacon is going to pass up an opportunity like that, and it wins him the game, now only down by 2.
That is big, but it's not enough. That second spy win he gave up is looming so large right now. He really needs to capitalize, and Pub is one of the places he could do it. There's some pathing witchcraft on this map, kind of like Modern, but it's not going to be enough to just stop Caley. He's going to need to find another spy win somewhere.
Caley's spy game, I just want to point out, has been monstrous all night long. He's let off a couple of quick ones, sure, but he's gotten 2 by Canadian Bacon and lost 1 by a single percentage point.
Well, I think the one with the fingerprint, the ballroom game, that was the strong one. But when you look at the library game, there's a white purloin. I don't want to give too much credit there. I think you got to put that on Bacon. Just missing a white purloin on library like that, and then a gulp and a walk away, partially behind the pillar, when you got to be more suspicious of that happening. I think Caley played one really great spy game, but Bacon handed him the one on library.
28% on the first flirt meaning you have to get a green test somewhere on the other two, because the best you can get on a close white test is 34%, and that's not going to be enough to finish up. Flirtation comes off, a little bit of a distance, and a white test, only 58% after the second flirt.
Now it's a problem, because now when you're trying to plan out the rest of your game, you don't know if you have 1 or 2 flirts left. And if you're going to try to get it in just under the wire, that might not work. You don't want to be having to hit a green test to win the game.
2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. KrazyCaley playing things a little bit slow here, but still plenty of time to work with as he moves to the fingerprintable statue.
Now, one of the reasons Caley likes Taft is because you can block a swap with him. This isn't really the venue for it, though, is it? But maybe it's just atypical enough. When Caley gets a lead, he tends to play more aggressively, so I actually think he's playing slower in part because of that big Bacon spy win.
I think you're probably right.
That's what he does. He presses the advantage. He gets more aggressive when he has a lead almost every time.
Steps into the bar. Doesn't get the drink. Doesn't hit the difficult fingerprint either.
I'm not sure if he entirely meant to do that or if it quite works etiquette-wise, but he hasn't been dinged for it yet. Doesn't get it, though. Understandably, doesn't want to try to get 2 basic ones. So,
oh, this is death.
And there's the bug.
Yep,
yeah,
there's the bug. Yep, he figured if I'm here anyways, I might as well bug him.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's a little more like it. I think he recognizes that Bacon is going to get him. The briefcase returns are perilous. I mentioned earlier that it's really risky to try to do one of those against Bacon. And in this case, in that little corner on pub where there's almost no room, sometimes you will try to return when you can't. You remember that veranda game, Caley looked like he was going to win with Papa Danger, right? The Kane character. And he returns the briefcase incorrectly, and Bacon salvages the win late. That ended up being the difference between a loss and a draw. Kind of the same thing here with the briefcase mistake.
And Canadian Bacon opens with a 29% flirt when that could have really easily been 34% and comfortable.
Yeah, and against Caley, like, what are you worried about? Are you worried about getting flirt paired by the world's biggest camper?
Yeah, Caley does not care at all about who your seduction target is.
No, he doesn't. Now, he will catch it for something like that if, say, a hardtail's by him and he has to adjust his play. It's not like he can't notice basic patterns, but he's not dedicating his attention to that right now.
Fake contact. That's off a significant number of lowlights, though.
Yeah, it's actually surprisingly hard to get off a good banana bread on pub. I think Bacon is already going in on a frame here. And he's probably right. It's so hard to mission win on pub against a good sniper. More than most maps, if you lose a sniper on pub, it's probably because you lost rather than the spy won. Usually, it's because you just straight up missed something. Sometimes you can press them into difficult decisions, but for the most part, if the sniper does their job, they're going to win. And I think that's kind of what Bacon's thinking. He's thinking the odds of a mission win are looking pretty low right now. Let's go all in on some kind of frame.
And how often have I said this phrase? Second flirt brings us up to only 58%. It's been that exact number a couple of times this evening.
Yeah, the lack of the green tests has really hurt some of these. There's obviously most prominently that 99% flirt earlier, but when we saw the same thing from Caley, and last game, the failure to hit that second green flirt might have led him to desperately do the briefcase, which led him to desperately do the bug. So the flirt might have led him to lose that game indirectly.
Selection target is kind, though, steps out and back in nice and snuggly, and Canadian Bacon picks up a green test to finish the flirt in 3.
Now look at all the highlights in the other conversation. I really think Bacon is waiting for people to do something, and you just don't see much activity. This is turning out to be a very poor game to get someone else shot.
Indeed. Very unfortunate. Canadian Bacon's going to try to force the issue with a delegate to one of these highlights.
Yeah, that's probably it. And again, might just be keeping it in his back pocket. There's really no reason not to have it and think about this. Maybe force one of those highlights.
Gets a fingerprint off of it.
That gives him some options, but this is the kind of thing you might have wanted to do 20 to 30 seconds earlier if you want a complete fingerprint.
There's just people going to the bar. There's the delegate to Taft, a nice large character who has a reasonable chance of blocking some stuff with his largeness.
But there was
45
nobody. There was nobody but Bacon at that. There wasn't a bar rush or anything. The party was so quiet. He's going to have it down to 2 here.
Purloin gets taken, and the immediate shot comes off. KrazyCaley let off 1, but he's not looking to do it again.
No, and I actually think Bacon played that perfectly fine. I just don't think you're very likely to win a pub game straight up like that. A terrace game, on the other hand, this is very interesting. I want to see these mission choices in particular. This is big. Caley, obviously not a big fan of terrace, but he did pick it against me as sort of a counterplay in week 10.
Oh man, this is shaping up to be quite something. It's 8-6. There's still time in this match to make a comeback. Remember, you have to get to 11 to win it outright.
Right, so there's still time, but this is one of the last maps where you have a really good chance of doing it, I think. Caley, by the way, the only real significant decision, of course he turns off Swap. Who's going to leave Swap on? Quick window leave, by the way. Turns off Inspect to leave on Purloin. That's usually the main decision.
I think Purloin is too valuable on this map. Like, the Swap is a really great panic mission, but you can get a lot done with the Purloin. 51% flirt as well to start off the game.
Yeah, the main question is the statues, the inspects. I think when we get 30 seconds added to this map, you're going to see more AIs complete inspects, and it'll make a lot more sense to leave that on, and you'll have something akin to high-rise 3-5 right now. But at 2:30, you don't have that. They almost never go twice. Although, look at all these statue visitors. It might have been a good game for it.
Absolutely. This is a map where you just do not have time to work.
Right, it's amazing. You really barely even have time for a timer flirt. I think when we get 3 minutes in there, 3:30 even, it's going to start to feel like high rise, and it could play in some interesting ways because of the bar Purloin. But until then, it's just really hard to get AIs to finish missions.
KrazyCaley picks up a delegate, but isn't able to hit the difficult
Banana
fingerprint.
bread.
Minute and 20 to play already as the contact comes off. 2 lowlights.
Two
That's
low lights.
it.
Yep, and Rocker, the only person in the other conversation with the ambassador there. Remember, the sniper can see this, the double agent.
Yeah.
It's a
This is
big
true.
thing. That's one thing we had to mention here. They know if it's fake or real. A lot of people, instead of highlighting for statues or bar visitors, will sometimes just highlight anyone who could have done the real banana bread.
Second flirt comes off. We're up to 73%. Here goes the delegate, but I don't know if it's in time.
I don't think it is, but we're going to find out in just a second. Oh, it's going to be close.
It's gonna be close, and it
Wow.
does come off! Within seconds, but Bacon is on it! The shot comes off. And this is what Bacon needs to do. He needs to keep holding his ground from the sniper side until he can find a way back into this game. He needs to play like Caley, and right now he is.
Yeah, that was closer to a Caley game. I really do want to finish missions here. And the fact that he turned off Inspect is a sign of that. Bacon, though, mirroring it. Not hoping on AI to finish those Inspects.
Early contact to
Banana
kick
bread.
the game off. 1-2 lowlights.
Not a fake this time. Bacon has been faking a lot since that early decision Caley made to assume real.
And look at this, because we can't highlight for statues, we're highlighting for real contact.
I think that would be the move here anyway, because you get so few statue visitors, you can memorize those instead. I think that's more powerful.
Stepping in for his first flirt at a slight distance. It should be enough for 50 on the green, probably 33 on the white.
And there's still time, first to 11, but this is a weird map. This is probably one of Bacon's better chances to pull even again compared to the maps we have after.
Hits the green test, and it's close enough for 51 still. Not that that 1% makes really any difference at all, but it's comfortable.
Well, we've seen games won or lost on that pixel before. You never know.
This match, we've seen games won or lost on that single percent.
Yep.
But Bacon playing things really slowly, minute and 15 on the clock, and playing for a timer flirt. Very dangerous on this map.
It is, but the fact that he already hit one green makes it a little more reasonable.
1 minute to play. Here's the cooldown. Here's the talk. Here's the green test. 2 missions complete. 1 tell to get.
What's it gonna be?
45 seconds to play. How do we get something by Caley?
The ambassador is a little vulnerable. He could go right to bar. He's gonna wait for someone to talk here and fake a delegate.
It looked like he was setting up for a reverse drive-by, but just steps away to the bar, setting
What's
up
it
for the
gonna be?
delegate, like you said.
I don't think Twin was talking, so I'm not sure if this works unless he delegates himself. Rather, he's gonna go instant.
Just takes it straight up. Does Caley see it? He does see it, and that is not going to be quite enough. KrazyCaley retains his lead, 2 games away from the title now.
I think it's another timing issue. You see what he wanted to do there, but I don't think the people he went next to gave him a good opening to act like he'd been delegated to. That's the problem. Twin was already talking and talks for, I think, a full second. Then he sort of finishes his talk, and that's when he leaves. Kaylee's actually very good at checking for that, noticing that sort of thing. So I think maybe he felt he had to rush it because he was running low on time. If he didn't feel that, if he did the whole thing about 20 seconds earlier, then maybe he could have waited for one of those highlights to talk instead. And then he's put Caley with a standard 50-50 decision. You'll take that coin flip for a spy win right now.
And now, to round out the night, we have KrazyCaley's doubled map. This is his home turf. This is where he wants to be. As CanadianBacon, you need to make some big plays on enemy territory as KrazyCaley steps into the spy side on Veranda.
It is enemy territory, but we've seen Bacon take some great shots on Veranda against Caley before, and even though he didn't pick it, I think it shares a lot of things in common with maps he's done well against Caley on. It's kind of a mix of library and ballroom, sort of. A little bit of gallery in there. Maps that Caley actually doesn't like that much, except for library, of course. So I don't think this is actually a huge disadvantage, map-wise, for Bacon.
Early time ad for KrazyCaley, and is spending a lot of it just idling and being inconspicuous, and stepping in for his first flirt for 51%.
And so we're getting another sign here. If the first 45 seconds of this game or so are any indication, Caley continuing to play the way we've seen. Oh, well, I spoke too soon.
Never mind! It's a green purloin. He just pressed the button.
Let me give him the benefit of the doubt here, though. That was actually a reasonably well-timed purloin. It didn't feel impulsive exactly.
Fake contact to try to distract from the take, but the take never wound up happening. Here's the purloin coming off. I don't think Bacon's noticed it yet. This is the second time a purloin has gotten by him.
He sees it now. The question is, who's he feel comfortable low-lighting? Big moment coming up here. Is he going to be able to whittle this down? If you whittle down about a third of the party, you're in pretty good shape, actually. You'll trade that hardtail on Veranda where you need to do 5 missions. You'll trade it for all those lowlights.
Nobody.
And that could mean
lowlights.
That is either really good or really bad. Sometimes you do that because you're almost certain of who it is and you don't need to bother with the lights and there's no reason to give them the information, especially when a map you've just doubled. But it could mean you're not confident about when it went off.
KrazyCaley gunning for the 2 flirt, accidentally hit a red test, scaring the seduction target away, but luckily she comes right back, and this time it's green for the 2 flirt.
And that helps a lot after that red flirt. That was looking a little rough there. Bacon can hold the shot, though. Caley still has to do a little more. We saw him before kind of say purloin banana bread on library, you remember. Go ahead and shoot me. Didn't happen, right? And he started to rush missions late. It worked out anyway, but just barely, we think, based on the timing of the shot. So Caley here, it'll be interesting to see if he actually tries to rush missions or if he tries to induce that shot.
Well, takes a fingerprint at the front statue, isn't able to get 2 of them, but 1 is just fine. We'll make an inspect swap a slightly more difficult proposition, but shouldn't be too bad in the long run.
He's got a good character.
To play still.
Good character for it if he picks the right statue set. Very tall.
Absolutely.
Banana bread.
Contact comes off. 1, 2 lowlights. That is all. Very good contact.
With that purloin, you actually wonder if you're Bacon, do you want to maybe assume real and take some more? You might be desperate.
I just noticed, thanks to Yeesh in chat, KrazyCaley didn't take the fingerprint.
Very odd.
Very odd indeed, but now stepping into statues. This could be the inspect swap right here.
It's fingerprintable too, though. Will that change his mind? Will that fingerprint change his mind? Because there is another one on another front-facing statue.
Still a minute and 10 to play, but no, just hits the swap.
Doesn't even need to see it.
It's a green test, but Bacon isn't even going to let it happen. Just takes the shot before any swap can come off. Staying alive.
What we're seeing from Bacon is that when Caley plays the normal spy game, Bacon's on it. Bacon knows how Caley normally plays. When Caley has had success, it's when he's gone the other way, at least mostly. When he plays like that, when he does the inspect swap late, Bacon's just going to saying, look, I've read this playbook. I know this move. I've seen this move. I don't even need to see the swap.
Yeah. And you can tell he was a lot more suspicious about the purloin than he let on.
It could be more pathing witchcraft. Could be a lot of things. Whatever it is, you just can't look at those lights sometimes and know what Bacon's thinking.
Absolutely.
And Bacon has two chances to get that spy win right now. Two chances.
It's
assuming he
not
holds
much.
serve. I think he can hold serve on Veranda, though. I think he's onto it right now. It's hard for Caley to play the anti-Caley game on a map like Veranda. It's really tough.
This is very true. Slow start from Canadian Bacon here. No flirt yet. No progress yet. And already down to 3 minutes and 10.
And again, this is what burned Caley the last time they met in Week 9. There were a couple of games he looked like he was making decent progress on and might get away with. Yep, missed the flirt. But he just waited too long, idled too much in the beginning of the game, started doing missions like 30 seconds too late a couple times.
Picks up side statues, picks up a highlight, only picks up one inspect.
And I wonder if he would have done that right then if not for the flirt cancel. I wonder if he's feeling a little more urgency now.
This is very true. But this is not going to be a fun highlight to have moving forward because of how little progress we have.
Does not purloin at windows.
Stepping into conversation with the double agent, ready for the contact. Lots of people in conversation. Here's the contact. It is a white test. That highlight that was out steps back in again, but a couple people step away. 1, 2 low lights. I think 3, 4 actually.
I think maybe one of those was not a hard low light, but it's hard to say. Either way, that's a pretty good banana bread.
It's a white test. Caley's not on it.
Bacon twitches. He just happened. He twitched so that he could start gulping sooner. He twitched. It was very noticeable if you're looking at it, but I don't think Caley saw it. But he's got it narrowed down. He's gonna low light half the side, half the venue.
Low lights, low lights, low lights. This is what makes Caley so terrifying. You get something by him, and that did get by him.
Yes.
KrazyCaley still finds it early enough to get a huge amount of information from it.
But what's interesting is it was location-based. It wasn't even like, I'm sure it came from this conversation. It was just these people on the far end of the map. I'm positive it happened relatively recent. That's all. So I don't think he got that much information out of it relative to that. He definitely hasn't narrowed down, but here's the question. Can he hold his shot if Bling Twin or Boots look like they're finishing?
Oh man! KrazyCaley sees the return and is very annoyed about it.
That is incredibly cheeky. I can't believe we've seen a guestless return in a diamond final.
I never thought I'd see the day. KrazyCaley! You don't return the guest list against KrazyCaley?
Yeah, that was why do that. I think you do that much earlier to potentially tilt or something. I don't know. I don't think you do it when you have 2 chances left to get your spy win.
Yeah, that had to happen, and now KrazyCaley has locked in at least the missions equals points. If he can find one more win on one of these next 2 games, KrazyCaley retains the title. If not, Canadian Bacon is going to have another lifeline.
And he's small, man. He's going to lean into it. He's going to lean into the suspicion here. Hard to imagine he's not going to be trying to do missions.
Yep, KrazyCaley as Smallman at Bookcase. And that's a cheese transfer.
That's exactly what I thought he was going to do. He's got Salmon covering for him, and Bacon was on the far side doing a lot of action, but he came back just in time to see the path away.
KrazyCaley, ladies and gentlemen. Unabashed spy play.
I actually think there's a decent chance Bacon's suspicious, though. There's just no reason to shoot at this point. None at
I
all.
agree.
Not unless you're 100% sure. If you see him walking away from the bookshelf, well, there's still some other explanations for that. Why not wait?
This is true. Stepping into conversation, not close enough for... Actually, still very close. Might be able to get the max flirt off of this, but no, not quite. It's 48% off the green test, just barely outside 2-flirt range.
And Bacon is watching the ambassador very closely, which is not good because when you pick Smallman to finish missions on Veranda, it's almost always with a bug.
Speaking of bug, it's completely clean! How do you catch that bug?
Here's how you catch that bug. You don't look from that angle. That's the problem. You go off to the left. There are so many people down that dangerous bug corridor on the outside. The angle Bacon took is what made it invisible.
Could this be it? Could this game right here be what clinches it for KrazyCaley?
It could, but Bacon is he only has to catch one little thing at the end of the game. That's the thing about Veranda. It only takes one little thing. Caley's in a good position here, but I honestly don't know who I would take the rest of this game right now. He still has to do a couple missions.
80% on the second flirt. We've got under 2 minutes to play. 2 completions, both hardtails. Now stepping in for the contact and hits a green off of it. Look at all this cover. You can't even tell he's back there.
But he has to go to statues twice to finish that. Remember, that's very, very significant. What I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a flirt and maybe a purloin. Because if purloin in the last mission, he's going to have 10 seconds to react to it. And he's had trouble with purloin tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be flirt, purloin. And look, he wanted to flirt there, but he could not fit in. Bacon does not see the bounce off that conversation, though.
Good play from Caley. I would have probably gotten to the inside windows if you wanted to bail out of that, but not going for the flirt is a wise decision in this situation.
Well, he just can't. He wants an opening, but he's just not getting it. I think his plan is to flirt and then do something like a purloin, but it's just not lining up.
1 minute to play.
And if ST goes to statues, that's going to make the decision a little trickier. Look at this. He's just chasing her around, trying to stay in her orbit.
Has to back off to windows once more. The timer is ticking. The seduction target is not being kind to Caley, but she only has to land in conversation once, and she just has. There's definitely room here for KrazyCaley, and he steps in to finish up this flirt.
What's it going to be? Is it going to be a purloin or a late swap? Not a good character for it, and I don't think you want to go to statues twice. I think it's going to be a purloin.
That's the 4th mission. We only need 1 more, but there's 25 seconds to play. Here comes Caley. Here comes Toby, on the
It's
request.
white. There it is.
White test.
He's not looking.
CanadianBacon,
He's not looking.
Check the list. 4
No.
seconds.
That's
2
it.
seconds. And KrazyCaley for the 4th season in the row is our Spy Party Competitive League champion.
And the story of the game, well, let's say there's 2 stories so far. We'll break them down in just a second. One of them is Caley playing against type early and getting, I'd say, 1 spy win because of it. The other spy win, not really for that particular reason, but that game on Ballroom with the fingerprint. And the other story is Bacon missing these purloins. I think that cost him 2-3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
right.
more or less.
I'm loading up the replay because I want to take a look at that bug real quick.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
bug.
I say it all the
Oh.
time. Bugs, it's not about catching the leans or the animations because sometimes you can't. It's about getting yourself in the right position with the camera work. That's the boring aspect of being a good sniper, is anticipating ambassador vulnerability before the bug comes off so that you're in a position to maximize what you can and can't see. There were so many people on that side of the venue there, on that side of Veranda. You have to get yourself in a position where you can see one of those because they're so deadly.
Oh man, you can if you're staring at it, you can kind of see the bounce of a hand. But what's I think is really funny is if you look at it from KrazyCaley's camera, you can't even see it on KrazyCaley's screen.
When the spy can't see the bug, it's a pretty good bug. But again, look, there are bugs. Almost every bug is good from some angle and bad from another. Almost every one. In that case, it was the decision to kind of stay around 2/3 of the way through there. And kind of not go to the far left as the ambassador was moving. And then just the purloin. It's a white purloin. He got away with 2 white purloins. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. And that was the difference in the game. If if Canadian Bacon catches both of those purloins,
it's flipped or tied. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's flipped or tied.
Yeah, depending on how you want to count it. Obviously, the match plays out a little differently, but those are the difference. 2 white purloins. I think this one, it's small, man. I mean, come on.
That said, I also do have to point out that KrazyCaley did lose a game to 1%.
That is true.
Yeah, that did happen too, probably. Although who knows what he does if he hits it, right? They ripple throughout the games like this. But I think what's interesting is that Caley did what he had to do in the counterplay early on. If you're going to play against type, you want to do it early and then maybe go back to your normal game, right? That's the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
So, establish that and then maybe ease back into your normal game, which is pretty much what happened. The funny thing is, Bacon, it mostly worked the way it used to work. Bacon caught him for the things he does that he normally does. When he played against type, it worked a little better. It's just those purloins, man.
Yeah, those purloins, MVP mission, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't want to beat up on the purloins too much because purloin as a final mission is very powerful. You have very little time to react to it, especially on veranda or ballroom where you can't even see if it's gone right away. But
Gallery too,
the library... Gallery in some position, but the library purloin, I think that was the only big unforced error. That was a gulp halfway behind a pillar, white purloin walk away, and I really think he still almost won at the end. So I think the only one I really have to question is that library game.
Yeah,
we can actually go ahead and take a look at that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take just a quick look at that as we load up the replay. Whoops.
Yeah.
All right, so we're that.
And great set though.
Yeah, great set, and let's give Bacon some credit. His back was against the wall in that Modern game, and I was saying whole games. 63% win rate in SCL, 81% in Diamond. I'm just sitting here talking about how hard this is, and that's the one he scores. That's really, really big. It was very impressive. I think that gave him life. And if he could have caught, I think, that purloin on library, we'd be sweating out missions as points right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the Modern thing. I want to take a look at the Modern bug because that was fascinating.
I barely got to see it. I was waiting on
so fast. So let's take another look at it real quick. So we have let's set the scene again. So we have the statue pending again. We're desperate. We want that list for our last mission, and then the ambassador comes along. And then we pull off a crazy great bug. We get that bug done, by the way, with 1.5. We're with 1.5 seconds remaining. If that ambassador didn't come, I think that might have been the game because the drink grab didn't happen until 1.5 seconds after time. So
you're right. It wasn't going to happen. It was that had to happen. And by the way, that's significant too. Even though it worked out for Bacon, what have I been saying all night? These moves he's been doing have been good and interesting, but the timing's been a little off almost every time. When he tried to do one hardtail at the same time as another, right? The microfilm has red dress on gallery when the swap's going off. Instead, it's just exposed and the swap hasn't gone off yet. A lot of these moves are very good on paper. He tried the same thing earlier on that same Modern game. You remember he delegated, walked away, went to the other part of the conversation. The delegate timer didn't quite last long enough because he picked a slow character. The timing was a little off on almost all these moves.
Yeah. And watching that bug from the sniper's point of view, Green and Seek are in the way, so that bug actually completely invisible.
Maybe see the head lean a little bit, I would think. I don't know.
Back. Yeah, like,
but you're not
the most bare of a head lean.
Right. But here's the thing. You have to be staring it down. And why would you be staring that down when you're waiting for a desperate purloin at the end or Smallman walking away from statues, by the way? Right. Come on. So you'd have to be staring at it, and there's no reason for you to be doing that. Although, let me just point out, that's a 6 mission win on Modern.
Oh, the 6 mission wins are the best. I am all for this.
Yeah.
So, excellent set from both players. I think that brings us to the end of tonight's cast. I have been Lieutenant Hummus. My casters, do you have anything you want to say before we part ways for the evening?
A couple small things.
Okay.
First of all, pay attention to twitch.tv/KrazyCaley for the next little while, because historically he likes to do his own little roundup of games like this, so he's probably going to hop on stream at some point and just go through that whole set from his perspective and show everyone what he thought of the game and what his thought process was, which is always very informative.
Yeah, and we're all going to tweet that out, though. So if you follow any of us on Twitter, you're probably going to hear about this. Bacon might do the same, too. There's a lot to analyze there.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Twitters, do you have? I'm going to look up because that's how it's arranged on my screen.
I do.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at ToboTV because Toboshi was taken, and very occasionally on Twitch at twitch.tv/Toboshi.
I am at Spy Party Fans on Twitch, Spy Party Fans on Twitter, and SpyPartyFans.com. We have some more content going up there. All these stats you hear us reeling off, most of them are available there for you to look up. We launched the Game Finder very recently,
which is amazing.
where you can... Thank you. You can literally tell it, I want this player against that player as spy or sniper on this map in this division in this year with this result, and it'll spit everything out at you, and it'll show you all linked VODs from this channel. Download the replays, just the ones you want, sort them, whatever, all that stuff. And over the offseason, we're going to be adding seasons 1 and 2. We have 3 and 4 up there right now. There's just going to be more stuff coming. Please check it out. And geez, thanks so much to these players for letting us pick them apart and criticize them for purloins and all those things. It's such a hard, stressful game, and we're giving them grief for things they miss, but we know how hard it is in the moment, and they are obviously the best of the best. And after all that, there was only a few games difference. So, hats off to 2 incredible players for playing an incredible game incredibly.
Yeah, I mean, you can, top two players in the world, right? KrazyCaley, CanadianBacon, at least until season, till maybe the next showdown. Yeah. I've been, and I continue to be, Lieutenant Hummus. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter, the usual places. The game is Spy Party, available now from Steam. $25 gets you into the early access game. You can come play, and who knows, maybe you'll do some damage in SCL Season 5. Also, if you're going to be at PAX in, 2 weeks from now, wow. We have a booth there, so, come by, say hi. We're booth 1500, I believe, in the little corner that we're usually in. Next week on Saturday is going to be the Challenger semifinals, and then on Sunday we will be back for the Challenger League finals. And with that, I think that's all there is to say. Thank you so much. Congratulations to CanadianBacon to KrazyCaley for winning SCL Season 4. CanadianBacon put up a hell of a fight, taking second. That's about it. That's all for us. We'll see you next time. Good night.